Okay. I'll call the meeting to order. It's 5 o'clock. A couple minutes of 5. First thing, to approve the minutes of last meeting. We can't approve the minutes of last meeting because I wasn't here, so I can't make comment on it. But
Yeah,
we'll have to wait till next meeting. So
yeah, the only thing I had, Kerry, was the sentence about the altitude valves.
Are we on the first page?
Second page, the Walnut Street thing.
Yeah.
It's not valves that need to be fixed. Those are new valves we're gonna need to install to make it
Hold on
work.
a second. Somebody
But
find.
we can't vote on it tonight anyway, so it doesn't matter.
I still want to see where,
Yeah.
what paragraph.
Top of the second page, second paragraph. Mr. Snell.
What we
and
needed to
Stein.
replace.
No, I need those, need to be installed, we don't have them, we need to, those are ones we need to actually put at the other tanks.
I noticed one thing that I don't think is right in here that, let's see, down about 3 or 4 paragraphs down
First
on the
page.
first page.
Mm-hmm.
Third sentence down, Tara and Howard is trying to line up a pilot study on 1, 3, and 4 together. That's gotta be 1, 2.
1, 2, and 4, yeah.
Oh,
1, 2,
sorry.
and 4. The numbers are, the 3's on the other side of town.
Yeah. When I read the rules on typing out the minutes, they don't have to be exacting.
No, I don't, I just
Just
picked
how
up,
it
I
always
didn't,
I know, it's,
for me, she wouldn't know, but for me, it just stuck out.
Yeah, no,
That's on the other side of
no,
town. I didn't have to be at the meeting just to pick up on that. It's easy, it's just a number change. Okay, so we'll vote on that, on these minutes next meeting when Tommy's here, see if he has any changes. We got signing warrants
I'm
over there,
going through them now.
okay.
We lost the first one first.
I didn't see any abatements. And I guess Ed Maderos was on the agenda, but he isn't coming in.
he's not
Right.
coming
Okay. And GIS contract, sign the new contract. Do we,
Did I? Yeah. I think we're doing a whole one.
does this say when we got an email?
Yeah, it's the same
Couple weeks
thing.
ago?
Yep, it's the exact same ones.
Okay. We don't need to sign this. It's all the selectmen.
This contract itself is with the selectmen, we have to have something between us and the selectmen about the cost sharing, I think. But yeah, I don't think we hire,
Yeah, but there's no place for us to sign on this.
no, I don't think there should be, that contract
It
is.
says, have the commissioners sign.
Well, she wanted you to make a vote on it, I guess. Linda, when she called. That you agree with.
Just
Yeah.
vote on it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, do I hear a motion
That's,
to,
it's the same one that was the last one that we had talked about with,
Mm-hmm.
so it's, she goes up 1 hours
and she gets a raise for both, that's the way
and,
that,
yeah, she gets the raise for all of them. Yeah, it starts out 25, it goes to 25 and 11. Yeah, I'll make a motion, we accept the contract.
well, I'll second that. All in favor?
Aye. But yeah, we don't sign it, it all
Yeah.
goes to,
I just wrote it down, sorry.
okay.
So you could just let them know we voted on it and approved it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Old business, we're already done with the new business. Water rate.
Ruderis isn't coming in?
Mm-mm.
Okay. Sorry, I missed that.
You have anything on, water rates there or the revenue?
There's something.
So somewhere, probably at the bottom of your packets, because, yeah, they sent us a proposed budget for including the fees.
This is Tatum Howard?
Yes.
Okay.
So they made some assumptions that we would pay out of our budget for pilots and engineering. I responded to them and says, that's a bad assumption, that we used free cash to pay for that, we're down to 100,000, so you need to include that. So they're doing that. They're also gonna project rate fee schedule, they just haven't gotten that far yet.
Okay, so this has got, as if we're doing it out of an annual budget.
Right.
So not putting like an article in or something.
Right, they're considering that you're gonna be borrowing and moving forward with the projects.
So why are they doing this?
Well, they're doing that so as part of they can't give you any idea of a rate unless they include those costs, because they know those costs are gonna be coming forward. They're assuming that you're going forward with the treatment plant for 1, 2, and 4, and they're assuming you're going forward with the pilot and modifications to Manly temporary, and then the final modifications to Manly. So that's why they include those numbers, so that they can propose a rate.
Yeah, right now we definitely have to go through the 1, 2, and 4. And 3, we got a plan to, and if we
So our August PFAS was 20.9. I'm waiting for DEP to respond, that averages out to a 21. So I don't know whether they go by average or by the month, so I'm waiting for him to respond back, because we run by him, not by.
yeah, because the last one was 19.2.
Right, so if you go by average in the next one, I've already pulled the September one, so in another 2 weeks we'll get that back. If it averages under, they may say you don't do anything, or if they're going by the monthly, then they may say you do something, so.
But last I looked at it, I thought it had to be over a certain amount of time.
Right.
Not just
I
any
think it's
individual.
by average, so we still have 1 quarter, and I pulled that sample, so in another 2 weeks we'll have that sample back.
But regardless, we have to at least begin going forward and plan as if we have to, because eventually it could go over. If
Right.
We're right on that.
Yeah, we're bordering, we're not like most towns that pop and they're way up when they tell them to shut it down.
Yeah.
We're right in that number.
I think they ought to stop, pass a law and stop using this stuff so the number will start retracting, we don't have to spend any money.
There was something in the paper recently about a suit about that.
There are
Easton's
Right.
involved in one.
Easton Jersey. There are multiple class action suits going on, and so at some point we may have to reach out and figure who's doing what. But there are multiple ones going on. So I don't know how you ended up with the MBTE one, whether there are multiples in that. But just the same with
Yeah, there were 300 towns nationwide.
Right. So right now there are multiple law firms doing things, but a lot of towns haven't tested out because we're just coming, October is the month that they're gonna be forced to all test now when they did.
Well, the interesting thing is we were nationwide, now we're talking about a statewide problem
Right.
because the rest of the country isn't forcing anybody to do anything
No,
about
a lot of, some states have higher, they're at 70, some states have extremely lower than our 20, so it's catching on, and eventually EPA themselves will mandate a number, but I think Mass will never change from their 20 because you've already forced towns to pay to.
Unless EPA makes it lower, and then they'll go.
Right, but I think they're gonna go at 70, or that's what I've read so far, but.
The thing that bothers me about the whole thing is, the reason why we had to get into corrosion control was because they tried to, back in the 60s, they were trying to control air pollution. And they couldn't do it, so they made the rain so acidic, it's like battery acid.
Yeah.
Changed the water table to acid, and then they made us spend the money to pH adjust the water rather than stop the air pollution. So they keep making,
The water, the bad guy.
they keep putting the bill on the water
Right.
to make it safe, and we have to keep removing it, and we have to keep raising the price, and then we get the grief because we're raising the price. When it's not us, it's the legislators who are allowing this stuff to be discharged into the atmosphere instead of just outlawing it. If it's not good for human beings, let's stop putting it in the air.
Right. And right now, residents have more PFAS in their house than we have in our water, but
Yeah.
they're gonna yell at us because there's a
Because
limit
it's
on
us.
us.
Yeah, it is what it is, nothing you can really do about it.
But there's gotta be a stop to it because people are gonna be paying, $1,000 for a glass of water if they keep going the way they're going.
And,
It doesn't make sense.
yeah, and they're not offering any money, so.
No, but if it gets big enough, it'll be like the MTBE, go class action, and, I mean, right now, like the suits that Easton is involved in, I don't think we could even do, because we haven't hit the point yet
Right, you have to
where
go over.
we haven't been hurt, because we're
Right.
still below.
Right,
But once that goes over, and they're gonna have to do something because of all.
Well, with the
those places
MBTE
that go
too, they also, as soon as the lawsuit started and there was a big push, the government outlawed it, they stopped putting it in gasoline.
right,
But they knew about it
yeah,
years before, when it was polluting the ground.
right,
They knew, and the gas company, that's what made the gas companies, made them settle and pay for the damages, because they knew the day they started putting it in there, it was a waste product that, I guess made the gasoline more efficient or something.
Yeah, burn.
But they realized that it polluted the ground. It mixed with the water, it didn't float like gasoline, it separated, and it mixed right with the water. And it traveled through the ground faster than the MBTE traveled faster than the gasoline.
yeah,
So, but they knew about it, so they ended up paying everybody. But the nice thing was, nobody puts it in gasoline anymore.
yeah,
Well, eventually, that's probably gonna be with most of the PFAS stuff, but it'll take
Right.
a long time, they're not gonna do that overnight. 'Cause it's in everything.
no, it.
I just hate
it's really
spending
not-
millions of dollars on something that can be stopped years before we even have to spend it if they did it right.
If they stopped it today, it'd probably still be coming through the groundwater for 20 years.
I know, but
It's not like,
it's not gonna go higher, and we're below it right
Yeah.
now. But now they know about it, let's stop it.
The other thing with the rates, you may wanna send a letter to the residents letting them know what we're doing and that the rates are gonna be adjusting up in the future. I mean, rather than suddenly hitting them with some astronomical thing, we might wanna inform them that this is happening and that we're being proactive.
being
Just
proactive.
that
we're gonna
I
take
know,
over.
but-
No, I know what you mean. Do we, speaking of that though, do we have any better idea on how we're doing for covering revenue? Are we gonna have to,
We're close, I think we're gonna make it, but we'll be close. And that's only cause I stripped the budget to, I stripped it and lowered it.
but as far as us being, not having to do what we did the last time?
Yeah, we shouldn't have to grab
Okay,
one.
we're still okay.
No, at all costs, I'll avoid that, even if I have to, we'll avoid that at all costs. I'm watching numbers.
Alright.
Well,
Well, I mean, we'll do what we can do. I mean, it would be nice before we sent something to the residents, if we had a better idea of what we were looking at.
Well, the next,
Why?
November is the next one, so we'll
In
have,
a month, you should know.
right.
Is Tater and Howard gonna have stuff to us on this, like in the next few weeks, you know, or?
It sounded like they are working diligently on Manly and on the plant here. It's not,
Excuse me.
if I
so is there anything else you wanna discuss on station 1, 2, 3, and 4, or is that?
So
What
right
you
now,
just talked about.
they're sending information requests and I'm responding to them. They've asked for specialized samples. I ordered the bottles today so I can pull the samples, because it takes almost a month to get results back. So if I get ahead of when everybody starts doing their PFAS, I might be ahead of the labs getting bogged down. Basically on Station 4 and Well 5 replacement, they've sent in, we're waiting on DEP basically. They've sent them all the information that they can construct. So we're waiting on them to approve the construction. We met with Tatter and Howard and the media company that they've chosen to supply media to the spare filter. The spare filter is not as big as they would have liked to have seen it, so, but they're gonna use a resin media as opposed to a charcoal. A charcoal they felt would have a shorter life and you have to dispose of it. They can reactivate it, but now you're down while you're waiting for things to happen, whereas they feel the resin media will last longer. It just has some stringent requirements like no chlorine can enter it, and we currently carry residual through, so we may have to add in some dechlorination or lower our residual and see if it affects our iron removal and iron manganese when we do that.
Well, that's gonna be tough to do,
Right.
trying to keep because that's how we oxidize the iron.
Right.
To
But
get it caught, you're gonna try to keep it from anything going into that last vessel.
Right.
You know, you're not getting all the iron out.
They didn't sound like it was impossible, and us lowering it might, it's just a matter of watching the chlorine, and you're talking, when the chlorine analyzer's reading, it's 0.0 and a number, it's not, so it tens hundredths of a milligram per liter, so.
Yeah, we're using most of it up in that process.
Right.
Maybe you knock that down just a little bit, it gets it down.
Right, so if
And
we
if
just
not-
lower it a little and we keep doing our own tests to see that we don't affect our iron removal. We don't have any issues removing the iron, it's manganese, we stay really close, it's 0.03 milligrams per liter. When we do our own tests, I might pull a test to see what our actual, we're bumping right around 0.03, 0.04 for a removal. So if they ever make that a mandatory spec, then we may or may not make it. So I might pull a lab test just to see what a lab says we remove it to.
Yeah, as opposed to just what we're taking.
Right. The other thing that they mentioned is sometimes when they use that media, that it changes the rating of the treatment. So they couldn't tell me because they weren't sure what they had.
Why is that? Why would that?
I'm not sure why, but they have said that in the past. Maybe it's because you're adding more equipment to dechlorinate and stuff. They weren't very specific in that because they're more media and removals and bed lives than anything else. But they did mention that it had, and right now, Kenny is a 3 and I'm a 4, so I don't think we have any issues there.
Well, before they go too far with that though, we want an answer from them as far as
Yeah, they won't.
how big an issue it could possibly cause us.
Well, it's just a matter of them, like I'm here for another 5 years if you guys still like me that long, and so you've got 5 years to get somebody else up to at least a 3. I can't see it going above a 3. To get to a 4, you'd have to have a lot of equipment,
Right.
and I don't foresee that happening. Probably, if it went to anything, it would be a 3, but currently you're covered. We cover all the mandatory staffing.
But I'd like to know more details of what they're,
Yeah, they're trying to, so
What
they're
they're-
calculating, so what they're doing now is calculating, when I give them the responses on what we take in, what they'd remove and how long the bed life would last with the resin media. So if the bed life is 6 months, then they move faster on, the retrofit and redoing the Manley Street plant, so that you add on everything to treat. If the bed life turns out to be 2 years, then you can drag your heels on that, so we can generate some revenue to pay for it in advance of it happening, and you don't have to race right away because you've got 2 years worth of the media life. So that's what they're calculating now, that they can treat it and pull it down to 0, and then that they can, how long it would last.
But once they finish that, then we still have to get to the point of getting approval from DEP.
Right, DEP has to approve
Yeah.
everything, and
It's
right
not, it's
now,
not like they're gonna do that and we can just drop it in and go.
no, it's not, but everything's there, and it would be odd for them to say no, and they might might be fast tracking that, I'm not sure, but then a well, you would think that we've been dragging that well now for like 3 years. I'm glad we didn't really need that water, but luckily we had a wet summer, and badly for revenue, we had a wet summer.
Yeah, but good for the equipment.
Yeah, yeah, we didn't have any expensive breakdowns, so.
When they're gonna present that, I'd like to see a list of all the pros and cons to the media that they're going to
Yeah.
present or recommend, because I just don't wanna hear all the pros, I wanna hear all the cons too.
Actually, when they get to that point, they should come in here
They'll
and
come
present it
Right, that's
to
what I
us,
mean.
not just send it into Wayne for
They're
us to
trying,
look
right,
at.
they're trying to get some numbers now,
Yeah.
just the same when they do stations 1, 2, and 4 together.
Because that's up to us to weigh out, you know, because there's always cons to everything. You know, whatever treatment you use, there's good part and there's
Yeah.
always a bad part.
Yeah.
So we need to weigh that out, because it's gonna affect quality or it's gonna affect price.
Right, when they do 1, 2, and 4, it's not gonna be an iron removal plant. It's I can't think of the name right now, but it's not, it's almost like waste treatment. It's,
What's that? What are you talking about?
for, when they build the plant for here, for 1, 2, and 4, to
Yeah.
remove the iron, manganese, and PFAS, it's not gonna be an iron removal plant.
What's it gonna be?
It'll be a,
Is it a media?
it'll be a meteor, it's more like waste treatment kind of thing.
Yeah, I don't, it's the same one they used in,
Just a different name.
Yeah,
that one they used in, Manapoiset.
yeah, I think so.
Yeah. That one there, I know they spent a long time and a lot of money, and those guys lived in that plant trying to get that thing up and running and get it.
Yeah, once you get
It
the
takes a
run, you
long
wanna
time to
keep
get
them.
that media, I guess, the beds
Get everything set.
working the way it needs to culture like, you know what I mean? And I know the foreman, he was there like 24 hours a day shooting problems. So I knew him, I used to see him at all the meetings. I think now it's running pretty good, I'm not sure, but.
For them to suggest it must mean that they're not having any issues with it and it treats better than, because, like I said, the resin media, it's a hazardous waste, so when the bed life cycles out, you have to dispose of it as a hazardous waste. And just the same for charcoal, well, they regenerate it, but so it's a lower cost, but.
But from what I remember reading, it doesn't last, depending on what the PFAS is, it doesn't
Right.
last anywhere near as long
Yep.
or run as
Right.
efficiently, so. That's what we're paying them to look at, is to figure
Yeah.
out which ones will work better for us long term.
Right, and that's what they're moving forward, they're not,
As long as it's not languishing somewhere and,
yeah, no, they're not, I've tried to stay, and they know, and like, they know they're gonna get busy too, so.
Next thing on the old business here is update on the replacement well.
So they're still out, they're awaiting DEP, Mass DEP approval for construction.
On the new water source.
That was tabled until we get through our other big projects.
You wanna take it
Okay,
off?
yeah, all right.
Yeah, we should probably take it off.
yeah, there's no need for it to keep going up.
Asset management grant, how's that going?
They're working on the rate study part of it.
Okay.
And we still have to we haven't heard anything about a special town meeting or something
And we also
to get
wanted,
our money transferred to us.
No, I haven't heard of anything.
we also wanted us, the board, to look at those projects that they had listed, remember the water main projects? That they had listed in that,
Yep,
because some of them, some of the projects are more important, I feel, than what they made them out to be.
Right.
South Main Street is definitely, that's had so many water leaks up there.
yeah,
Yeah,
I submitted everything in under that,
Right.
to catch the federal money if it came out, but they're no closer to signing that bill than,
Okay, but we need to tweak that report that they did, to fit the town better than what they did, because I don't think they know enough about the water system to
I'll try
realize.
to print out
age isn't the only factor.
Right.
Main office generator, did you get that muffler fixed?
Well, it has its temporary fix on, which is just as good as the permanent. I'll take it off the list for the next, so it's not there for the next meeting, but it looks like we're back up and running, you know, it's minor maintenance now. It's not some major thing where we might be looking at replacing it.
How about the Walnut Street tank, how's that coming?
Well, the contract signed, our end is done, it's loomed out, so basically it's tabled. We should probably till we have some funds to move over to fund the engineering part of it.
Take it off.
Yeah, because the contract's already signed, it's just.
Yeah, and they're not working on it, they know
Right.
that we're waiting to.
They know we've told them that, you know, it's just a matter of moving money from free cash to it.
And how Kerry doing with a vacant position for the principal?
Linda called me today, she's gonna forward me, she put it out on, I think it was Indeed last week, she only is running it for 2 weeks, she said she already has 70 applications, so. She said there's a lot of, non-qualified, but she's gonna send me over everything to try and go through, she didn't say anything really that popped out at her, but, she's gonna send me this stuff anyway, tomorrow.
Okay. Lincoln Street Warehouse. I was looking at that print. What, do you have a big print of that?
No, so far that's all they've given me. And they're still trying to get the tie-ins down, but they're, within 30 days, they'll be digging.
Okay, what happened,
Well-
I know you got in touch with them about the,
So there was a big rush for me to send the letter to remove them so that they could vote on it. They did not vote on it, it did not even go to the selectmen.
so right now, they're still not gonna go down the street.
So currently they're not, so I sent out numerous emails to the developer, to any of the engineers, anybody I've come in contact, I've emailed it, you
Did
know.
you just tell them they can't tie into our water because we haven't approved it?
Right.
Just tell them you're not gonna tie into the water until you approve it. First of
Well,
all,
no, but that's a different issue, though.
Well, that's not, it isn't them that didn't wanna do it.
huh?
The town claimed a moratorium on the road, so the developer did not wanna repave the entire road, so they turned the water line right into the property at the top of the intersection.
Why did the town do that?
So we've already sent a letter to the town telling them that
Yeah, I
we
know we
want
did.
them to remove it.
So the selectmen never voted on that or even
As
just?
far as I know, they did not vote on it, I just heard from David that, yeah, that sounds like a good idea for the residents. Well, I can't tell the developer he has permission to rip up the street if you don't vote on it, and I, caught in the middle here, alright, it's
Well, I think we oughta.
reaching out.
All right.
Make a call to David, make.
Yeah. And first of all, let's write a letter to the Board of Selectmen, not to David, and tell the Board of Selectmen we need to meet with them.
I think that's where my letter was addressed to them.
Yeah, you sent the letter, you sent was to
Meet
the
with them?
selectmen.
Well, it wasn't to meet with them,
Well,
but
how come the Selectmen aren't responding? Why is David?
maybe he couldn't get it on the agenda, or maybe it's gonna come up this week,
You
but
have
he
to, I don't
never,
know how long it was before you wrote that letter before their meeting, but it's a 48 hours
Right.
prior to.
yeah, he just,
So if you wrote it on Tuesday and they met on Wednesday, they
Yeah.
definitely didn't get it on.
alright, so they.
Because
must
they're not
have-
even putting the water main to the end of their building.
No, they're going right
So,
in.
so then the townspeople are gonna have to pay to run a water main, that 12-inch or 16-inch, whatever you're gonna put in, for the rest of
Alright, so we're,
Lincoln Street.
And that's what Wayne
Well,
told them.
Yeah, prevailing
so
wage.
I'm reaching out to get them in here to talk to us, but, so,
Well, we
so.
need to
they
make
don't-
sure that the taxpayers know what's going on.
I
It's
know.
not
So-
us, because sooner or
So
later,
right now,
it's
the
gonna be on their
developer
water
doesn't-
bill.
No, the developer doesn't know what he may or may not save. So our rates fee structure says that at 75,001 square feet, you guys set his tie-in fees. So at some point, you're gonna have to, I don't know how to calculate that one, because I've known, the only buildings that I know that were like that are Chadwick's and Market Basket would be above 75,000. And I don't know how, it was calculated. So at some point, you have to meet to calculate that. So right now, he doesn't know what he may or may not be saving. He's just heard us saying that we may waive some fees in order for him to get him to run that line down.
Now, if he is gonna run the line down, that's gonna be calculated in that fee, because the taxpayers aren't gonna pay to run a water main in front of their building.
So I can't tell them that we're gonna give them something because it's not up to me. So I'm reaching out to everybody under the sun. Even when I met with the engineers today, I told them that we want the developer to come in and meet with us so that we can talk about running that line down. And they said that they knew and that they were in discussion.
The original plans, it was in the road.
Right.
It's-
Yes.
So this is a change to what's come to us in the first
It
place.
came blindsided to us, and I
that's-
heard it like 3 days or 4 days before you guys were gonna meet. No matter what I said in that meeting, it would not have changed a thing. I would have gotten the same stone-faced thing that I got
Well,
back.
it'll get the attention of the Board of Selectmen if we tell them we're not gonna give water, if they don't run the water main down there. If they're gonna leave us to pay for that, and they're gonna change that because somebody put a moratorium on some blacktop, which is absolutely ridiculous.
It's
we
already
just-
been done, so now we just need to undo it and fix
Yeah.
it.
Need to can you check if it's on the selectmen's, is the selectmen's agenda for this next meeting up?
Have they made it, so yeah, let me check, are they, I don't know.
See if it's on their agenda.
Okay,
That way, because it might be that they're gonna, they just,
Right.
if they couldn't do it at the meeting.
But when he answered back, he should have said we couldn't get it in on this meeting.
Yeah, because when I read the chain there, it sounded like they were gonna go ahead and.
Right, but the response back did not sound like that, just, sounds like a good idea.
Well, if they don't bring it up, I think we ought to go in there, because I don't want anybody saying that we didn't tell
Well, we have, but we've told them in writing. They have no way to come back and say we didn't tell them. Hopefully, the developer will go back to what we
Right.
talked about the first time, what was on the first plan. And the problem, I don't blame them if they thought they were.
I mean, I can tell the engineers that before they cut in and start running their main, that the developer needs to come into you.
them. Yeah, well, tell them they're not tying in anything until we come to an agreement on this thing.
But I need you
Just-
guys to say that.
It's
I
simple,
can't-
Wayne, just tell them, no, you're not tying in until you come in and meet, and we come to an
Well, I
agreement.
need you
Just
guys to
period.
say that to me, I can't.
Yes, you can, just tell them you're not tying in.
Well, that's.
It's
well,
the town's water system, you're in charge of it,
I-
on a day-to-day basis, tell them, no, you're not digging it up, you're not tapping it.
Well, they can't, we don't have the tie-in fee.
Right,
They
so that's.
can't pay the fee, they can't tie in
Right, he
without
doesn't
paying
know
the
what he
fee.
may or may not be saving.
Well, nothing to do with the saving, if he doesn't pay the
Right.
fee, he can't tie in.
Right.
So until we figure that out and give him the number and he cuts a check, or however we do it.
So I'll send back a letter to the engineers and say, before you begin construction, that this tie-in fee to be paid, behooves the developer to come in.
And your plan has not been approved by the water commissioners
Right.
to tie into our water system the way it is. And if we have to go before the Board of Selectmen, that's what we're gonna have to do.
Well, hopefully, if the Board of Selectmen come back and vote on it at their next meeting and say, look, this makes sense, we're gonna waive the moratorium, that part goes away, which is what it should have been in the first place. I mean, he said it's insane to say, we're gonna eat, or the town people are gonna eat the cost of all that pipe. Because we do, which it says right in our thing, we need to close that and tie that across. So we're gonna need to run.
They bring that
We were
down.
hoping to get them to run the line longer.
Right.
Never mind not get anything at all on that street. Because that's what we had talked about, is what we might, the waiving of stuff with how we did the fee was gonna be more of extending the line.
so they don't meet until October 6th, so there's no agenda posted,
All right, then,
as of yet.
so is it Linda or the other one that puts the agenda together?
It's not Linda.
It's I can't remember her name.
They're almost,
I
yeah,
know, I don't know.
I say we can, maybe
I can
contact.
email her tomorrow.
Email her and see if it's planned to be on the agenda, because that should be, and then we can work from there, if we know it's on.
I'd
the
also
agenda.
like to see a larger print of this thing here to see where they're leaving gates on that 12-inch, like up here at the intersection of Crescent? Are they leaving a gate and a cap so we can?
They're gonna tie into Crescent, so their plan is to abandon the 6-inch between West and Crescent in the end.
So they're tapping all those houses over?
They're gonna run the whips out and bring them up at the curb stops. I told them we'd tie them in, you know, after they're all done, cause at that point it's just digging down at the curb box and tying them.
Okay,
in.
I wanna see what they're doing there, what they're eliminating, for water main and what they're leaving off for future expansion. Because if they leave off a gate and a cap, it's gonna make it a lot easier to extend that down the road going over Route 24.
Well, they're gonna tie back into the 6-inch with a 12x6. Everything will be tied back in.
I don't see it on here. I can't see it.
Right, cause they're still working on it now, trying to figure it out, cause I keep
Okay.
telling them you can't,
Well,
I don't know how, I'm sure they worked on water mains before, but I keep warning them, you can't shut off the existing one, you can't tie customers into a new one until it's passed all its tests.
So when they come in, they're gonna have to bring in the final plans of what they're proposing to do for us to review.
yes, I can't see anything
Well, no,
in this.
Rick will give a full-size plan.
I'll tell them if
Yeah.
they need to appear at the next meeting.
Okay,
Hopefully they'll be ready.
Well, they should
And
be,
we'll,
because they really,
when's,
they wanna be digging right away, it's not,
is our next meeting?
where are they gonna be digging?
West Street running the 12-inch main.
No, they're not. Tell them no. We haven't approved anything. Why does everybody else, have to approve something, and the water department, anybody could go dig anything they want, tap into the main and run anything they want, and we can't say no to them? I don't understand how this works.
Well, it's not, they're doing everything correctly, and in the end, everything's tied back in. It's for future, if anybody wants to grab the 12-inch and start running again. If you want it left stub.
But if they haven't even been in to see us with a set of plans, and they haven't done what they're supposed to do, why aren't they in here with a set of plans?
I'll tell them to come into the next meeting.
Well then, and at the same time, tell them, forget about digging any holes. I make a motion to tell Wade to tell them they're not digging any holes and not tapping into anything until we know what the heck's going on. This is stupid. Is somebody getting paid off here or something? That this guy's in here just gonna go in there without any approvals from the water department to tap into the water main and start running mains, and we don't even know where the gates of the water mains are going? I mean, what's going on?
They are doing the right thing. I'll notify them that no construction can begin.
They can't tie in until they pay the tie fee,
Right.
which we haven't even set.
Yeah.
And we don't want them doing anything even in their own site with water pipe, because we wanna still push it out
Right.
into the road. And if they're not meeting until the 6th, we're not even gonna know what they vote before our next meeting.
Which is the 4th.
Yeah, so that's what I was just looking at. So we want, if we get them in here on the 4th, we can go over all this stuff. Just tell them, look, we're working on the moratorium in the road, we don't want you doing anything here
Right.
until we know what's going on. And if they can have them bring the plans to the next meeting, so we can see how they're tying everything, so Rick can make sure there's nothing there that's gonna blow that off. But I mean, they shouldn't be just running in there until we approve what they're doing.
Of course, it happens on every construction project. I don't understand how they can, just that they're gonna come in here and start cutting into our water mains, eliminating pieces of water main, tapping into things, and we don't even see a set of plans. I can't even read it with a microscope. And we'll take a vote on it, but I'll tell you, I'm voting totally against this thing. You and Tommy wanna go for it,
Well,
go for it, but I'm totally against
You
what
got
I'm
nothing,
looking
you
at now.
don't have anything to vote on.
Right, that's what I mean. So how can a guy go out there and start digging a hole?
Well, they were here once already a while back.
But that's not the plan that we look
I
at.
know,
If they're changing the
I
plans,
understand
that
that.
makes, everything starts over. And they didn't really have it all worked out
right.
up at the ends anyway, that was just
They
kind
need
of
to
a
dig some
concept.
test pits anyways to figure out what's what up there. And the electricity is still tied into the house, so that I don't think there's any houses down right away.
I got two questions for you, Wayne.
Yeah,
The hydrant in front of the Rose McDonald School
yeah.
on 106, the cap is still the threaded,
On 106. You mean by the senior center?
yeah,
I'll be nice.
Rose up,
it's
okay.
right in front of the Rose.
As fast
I'm
as we...
sorry, in front of the Howard School,
Howard's.
in front of the Howard School.
Yeah.
106. You mean the senior center?
Yeah, the hydrant right there, that,
Every time we fix that thing, although last year it didn't get hit by... we have to replace it. They keep hitting it with their snowplow.
really, you fixed it and they hit
We
it
have
again?
fixed it like 3 times.
And
and I
it's spun around
Yes,
and it's
been...
facing the wrong direction.
Yes, they keep hitting it. I don't know why, it's pretty visible, but, so the easiest thing to do is replace it and move it back away from the
I
sidewalk.
was just gonna ask, could we put bollards on either side of
Yeah,
it?
I know, it's,
Yeah,
Or
maybe,
if moving it would be just as easy.
but we've had difficulties doing any construction this year because we can't get a straight stretch of sunny days. Today we're fixing a water main leak up on Milebrook. Tomorrow we're going up somewhere. We're trying to close up things that we have open, and I've had a difficult time. We haven't had like a day or 2 straight where it
okay,
hasn't rained.
alright, well, if you get a chance, see if you can move that one back, because it doesn't
Yeah,
make any
no.
sense, because that hydrant either should have a bag over it, because they can't use it. There's nothing to put a hose on. The other one is the hydrant in front of the gazebo at the town hall.
Yeah,
It's got green caps on it. It's got a 6-inch main, I believe, or an 8, I think it's a 6.
it's a 6.
It's got green caps right now, and I think somebody painted it green because the one in front of the old Cumberland Farms has green caps, but the 12-inch main goes up to that hydrant, and ends at the driveway of the, going into the highway department.
Caps again.
So there's no
I'll have
12, that 12 doesn't go up that far, so somebody must have assumed.
I'll have them paint the caps.
Alright, well, I mean, I ride around town and I look at these hydrants, and it just catches my eye.
Cause you have all the pipes in your head, and you know.
I know,
which ones.
and I look and I go, how did that happen? Alright, do you have anything else up?
I noticed you had hydrant flushing signs out.
Yep.
Have you been,
So we can't use the unidirectional plan, because that plan was created using 3 tanks. They closed, I forget how many gates.
well, now you have Walnut down, so you
Yeah,
can't do,
and when they close gates, it's not like you can tell what they're closing off. There are gates all over town.
Yeah.
Literally, it takes almost an hour and a half on the first, week to keep closing those same gates. I believe in unidirectional, but
with one tank out, you can't follow it
right,
anyway,
so
because you
they
can't
went back to
take a
the
chance.
old plan, which I was gonna suggest to you anyways, because we're not touching half the hydrants. The unidirectional only flushes specific hydrants. So we're losing our hydrants again, because if you don't operate them at least once a year, then they're not getting operated at all.
My question was gonna be anyway, was what you finding stuff broken, not working?
Well, they're hard, so we have the 2-foot bar, the 4-foot bar, and then this, oh my god, 8-foot bar. Yeah, some of them are turning harder, even like Mueller's, that we find those turn harder too when they're not being turned at all anymore. I'd rather redesign the plan so that we know what we're doing. It's not hard, this town is not hard to build a unidirectional plan.
Now, Are you trying to, is the new plan, is that trying to operate every hydrant in town?
No, it does not.
Okay, I mean, because we never, that was never our plan. Our plan was to operate the hydrants that created a velocity in the water main to clean the water main, not to exercise each hydrant. We didn't have time to exercise 300 and something hydrants. Plus,
I did.
our hydrants were so old that you'd never get them shut down. A lot of them, if they were used for a fire, we had to replace them because the hydrants were 100 years old. And you can't, you can't exercise those. We used to, they're actually sealed with whale oil, the leather that they use for the gasket. So you don't want to open those. We were always trying to make sure that we had a good hydrant at the end of certain mains so we could use them every year to get a velocity of a flow and clean that water main.
So the Rensselaers, which there are quite a few in town, if you don't operate them, they don't, even with the 20-foot bar, you're not gonna get them open. That's why we replaced like 50 hydrants in that year, because we found all the ones you couldn't, no matter how big a bar you put on it, you couldn't get them to turn.
What, the Rensselaers?
Oh yeah.
They just walk.
And then the Dresser 500s have a habit of the top, if they're not operated, the top pops up at you. Scares the living crap out of you. If you're not holding on to the wrench, you get hit in the head with the wrench. So if you don't operate them, whale, seal, whatever.
Now, which ones are those?
The Dresser 500s are the ones that pretty much got put in when they did the transite mains and stuff. They have like the white caps, a smaller white
Those
cap.
were always a really good hydrant.
Yeah, except that when they're not used, that something inside
Dresser
them goes
500.
bad and the top comes flying up at you. It doesn't pop off, but it shoots up enough that you have to shut the hydrant down and.
Really? I never had one to ever do that.
No, ask any of the guys.
Never had one.
There's some of the DPW guys that have worked with us.
Might be something that long-term, you switch year to year, you do the unidirectional type stuff. 1 year, you do a general one to keep the hydrants
Right.
running on-off year, because the problem is you do need to get that flow direction to clean the pipes.
Well, the way it was
Most of our
working,
pipes are in pretty good,
yeah, the way
shape
it was
is
working,
working
we work our way down, it was set up to work your way down a line and you'd move every hydrant. So you only had the velocity from one to the next to the next. There are a lot of hydrants in town, and some places they're spaced really far apart, not according to current standards, but standards back then were the cost of the hydrant.
Well, North Elm Street, they're further apart than 500 feet.
Right. And in some streets they're even further apart, just like gate valves, but, we'll live. They're there.
have you had any that broke when you were starting to run them, or are they all?
No, so far I haven't heard it, well, there was one, maybe one. You just hear complaints that if it takes a 6-foot bar to get it open, you're not gonna open it all the way, because it takes a 6-foot bar. And a lot of leverage on top of that.
Yeah. How long are you gonna be running the flushing?
So they should be done sometime like the second week of October. As long as we can keep it from raining on them. And so far, they usually go Monday to Wednesday and they stay like 7 to 1 a.m. or something. So they can get a lot done in a night.
Okay. That was it for me.
That's it for you?
Yep, I didn't have anything else.
Okay, Kerry, do you have anything you need to add?
No, just the next meeting is October 4th.
Okay. Next meeting is October 4th, and what'd you say, the selectmen are meeting the 6th?
Yeah,
Yeah, so,
it won't be, if they come in on the 4th, it won't be enough time to put it on their agenda.
well, they can still have the stuff on their, what they need on their agenda is the moratorium on the road.
Right, for
They
purposes
can
of
put
water.
that on anyway. If we're talking to these guys, we can say, look, they're voting in 2 nights. If they take that off, we want.
Have you had a chance to talk to anybody in the board of selectmen about this?
Oh, he sent the stuff out, it sounded like.
No, but I mean, you haven't personally.
No, not directly.
Somebody needs to make contact with them and let them know that how important this is.
We don't have to wait for everybody just for this developer, it's not, I understand they don't wanna pave a road and have it ripped up, but in this instance, this thing came about really quick and you just have to, there are some things you gotta eat.
Well, did they tell you what was, how long has it been?
It has to be really close to the 5 years.
Yeah, well, that was the other thing, I thought it had been something like
Yeah,
that.
they were holding us up on that road years ago.
Well, I know that when the houses were being built down there, we couldn't do it, and at that point, I think it was 2 or 3 years in. So,
Yeah,
I
so
don't know.
if it's like 6 months to go, or even a year to go, it's stupid,
It's not me.
I know, no, yeah, not thinking it was, but.
That's somebody making a decision down there that isn't thinking about,
It's a long road.
it's not affecting my budget, it's gonna affect their
Well, but
budget, who cares?
it's, it's one of those things, it's a checklist item, right? It's, oh, that was paved less than 5 years ago, you can't open it. That's the stock answer until somebody comes up and says, wait a minute.
And that's a stupid, somebody comes across and said, that's a stupid answer. It's gonna
Well,
cost us a fortune for saying.
That's what Wayne did with the letter,
Yeah.
so.
Well, I just-
Unfortunately, they're scheduled, and they're only meeting once a month.
No, I think their last meeting was they met twice. They met, like last Wednesday and then 2 Wednesdays before that.
But it was just ours was too close to be able to do anything about it.
Right.
Alright, so do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Yeah, motion to adjourn.
Okay, I'll second that, all in favor?
Aye.